This is powdered sugar, homemade powdered sugar. This is powdered cane sugar, powdered turbinado sugar, and even powdered demerara sugar. And all you need to do this is some sugar and a blender. Now, this isn't new. People have been making their own powdered sugar at home for as long as blenders have been around. And it's very simple. This is a technique I picked up from Alton Brown long ago. So if you're in a pinch and you need powdered sugar, just use your blender. But why should you do this, and how does it translate to making cocktails? First, you can't use your store-bought powdered sugar in cocktails. It'll contain an anti-caking agent. Usually that's cornstarch, so that'll just mess up drinks. So making your own is the only way that you can incorporate powdered sugar into a cocktail. Now, the reason to even go down this road is all preference for me, and it's all about the daiquiri. Traditionally, the daiquiri from Cuba is made with granulated sugar, not simple syrup, rich simple, or any other syrup. Some may view that style as the purest point of view, but they were mainly doing it that way because they didn't keep simple syrup on hand and used sugar instead. In the modern era, many bartenders obsessed with the never-ending pursuit of perfecting the daiquiri have employed the granulated sugar method in place of syrups. The main reason to do this is not tradition, but dilution. Syrups carry water, and when added to a cocktail, they will dilute your drink on top of the melted ice you'll get from shaking. How much or how little that affects your cocktail is still going to be preference, but 1 ounce of simple syrup will add more than half an ounce of water to your cocktail. Well, that's a small difference. In a smaller cocktail like a daiquiri, which is 2 ounces of rum and 3/4 to 1 ounce of lime juice, half an ounce is going to be substantial in your final drink. Since many of the rums from the early 1900s were higher proof than the standard 80 proof rums of today, there's more of an emphasis on controlling dilution for modern daiquiris. If you're interested in diving headfirst into the daiquiri and how bartenders have been adjusting and fine-tuning their daiquiris, check out the Rum Reader. I'll leave links in this episode's description to several pieces on the daiquiri. Popular technique today is to use granulated sugar and either stir or use a milk frother to make a daiquiri. If you ever put sugar in iced tea, you know it doesn't dissolve. That milk frother does help that immensely and works very well, but you'll often have some granulated sugar left over in your tin or your cocktail, which you might actually prefer. There's also another argument that adding a syrup or rich syrup to a daiquiri will increase the viscosity, making it more syrup-like and giving it more body. I will say I've not tested this, but I don't actually understand how that makes sense or is possible. By using granulated sugar, you'd have more sugar by volume, which would be more syrup-like, unless, of course, you're banking on the sugar not dissolving into your drink. But I've not been willing to dive too deep into that or to test that myself. But the argument was always made that you can't use powdered sugar in place of granulated sugar because of the cornstarch in the powdered sugar, which is true, unless you make powdered sugar yourself. By making it yourself, you'll have a superfine sugar that can be dissolved into your drink almost immediately. As far as I know, the term powdered bar sugar is not a real term. It's only something I started using recently because I was using this homemade powdered sugar in videos, and I didn't want anyone watching those videos to take that as using the store-bought version. Calling it powdered bar sugar might make you stop and ask questions. Check the video description for the recipe. But I'm sure people have been employing this method before in cocktails in some way, assuredly in the daiquiri as well. But this method goes well beyond making your own powdered white granulated sugar. You can do this with any sugar, cane sugar, turbinado sugar, and even demerara sugar. Those are all sugars you would basically never add directly to a daiquiri, especially that demerara sugar. To make your own powdered bar sugar, just add sugar to your blender and blend. That's it. Depending on your blender, you may need some volume to get it to blend. Now, I've not actually tried this with demerara sugar, so let's try this and see if it works. The only issue I've had with using this method in a cocktail is that you will need to reconfigure your ratios. 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar does not equal 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. You could spend a few moments weighing out the differences if you have a scale. I've done that and I found it to be only slightly informative, but really when it comes to the pursuit of perfecting the daiquiri, I guess that's personal. You should be using as much sugar as you like, and that might change depending on the rum you're using or the sugar that you're using in your cocktail. My standard go-to starting point is 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar. I just happen to have a 2 teaspoon spoon on my bar, and 2 teaspoons is about equal to 1.5 teaspoons by weight of granulated sugar. And in the past, 1.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar was what I used in most daiquiris. And this goes beyond cocktails. You can use this to make whipped cream, maybe dust some demerara sugar on top of a drink or food of some kind, or use the powdered sugar as AB does to make your own royal icing. And if you don't like having yet another ingredient on your bar or in your pantry, just stop buying powdered sugar and make your own instead from here on out. If you try this, let me know. I don't think it's for everyone, but if you like experimenting with ingredients in cocktails like I do, it's an easy way to control dilution over drinks like the daiquiri. So every new rum that I use in a daiquiri, I know the sugar is consistent and I don't have to make sure I have the correct syrup on hand. These sugars are also shelf stable, so I'm not worrying about them going bad or taking up space in the fridge or the freezer. All right, that's it for this one, powdered bar sugar. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like below, consider subscribing to the channel, and otherwise, see you on the next one.